Hello, and welcome to or back to my channel. I've received a couple of requests to do a video on what I put into my DIY hair oil, so I wanted to take a few minutes to share my entire process with you here today. Just a disclaimer, I like to experiment and try different things to find out what works best for my hair and my scalp, so it's rare that any two recipes are identical. The very first thing that I put into my mason jar is some fenugreek seeds. I make concoctions similar to how I cook, in that I don't really measure anything. I eyeball my measurements, and depending on what I'm trying to achieve will determine if I add more or less of something. I got this bag off of Amazon and it has lasted me for a year, if not longer. I was using fenugreek seeds in my DIY hair oil and hair butter recipes as a loose natural as well. Again, I eyeball my measurements and I put in what feels like a decent amount. Not too much, not too little. As you can see here, I was eyeballing and felt like I needed to add some more. The next ingredient that I put in is grapeseed oil. When I put this in, I want to make sure that the seeds are completely covered and that the oil is actually higher than the seeds when I'm done pouring. So I pick it up to kind of see, and I see here in actuality that I put way more than needed. I was a bit heavy-handed, but oh well. And then here I'm getting out my double boiler and my kettle, and I fill up the kettle with water so that I can boil it. And while that's boiling, I will put the double boiler onto the stove and then pour in the boiling water so that I can get my double boil process going. I usually fill up the kettle about halfway so that I make sure that there's enough water for the steam to happen for about 15 or 20 minutes. And then once I've done that, I will place the mason jar onto the double boiler and I close the lid. While I'm waiting for the steam to do its job and heat up the oil and allow the seeds to infuse, I typically will take out my other products that I plan on using into the jar. Again, I give it about 15 or 20 minutes to boil while it's on the stove, and while it's doing that, I go over periodically to give it a shake every now and then, just to make sure that everything is mixing well. I don't know if it actually does anything, but it makes me feel like it's doing something. And once the time is up, I remove the jar from the steam, and I make sure to wipe away the condensation after giving it a couple of more shakes. And then I move on to my next step, which is going to be adding all of my other things. First, I add my vegetable glycerin. And again, I eyeball and put in the amount that I feel necessary. Then I add my almond oil. After that, I grab my black castor oil and we'll pour some of that in. And then I go for vitamin E. And I usually put about 2 squirts of my vitamin E into my concoctions. As you see here, I also have a rose oil, and I also do a couple of squirts of that, mainly for fragrance, but it also adds a lot of great benefits for the hair and scalp. And I like the smell of vanilla essential oil, so I add a bit of that also. And also some rosemary that I forgot to add on camera, but I did later. And then I added some peppermint for smell as well. And then I will close the lid and give it all another good shake to mix everything that I've just put into the jar. Once I have everything in the jar that I could possibly want, then I move on to the next step of putting the jar into a dark cabinet, which I will leave it in there for about 4 to 6 weeks. And then after 4 to 6 weeks, I then put the oil into an applicator bottle. I will strain the fenugreek seeds and all of that, and then it ends up in my applicator bottle. Then, once I have it in the applicator bottle, I then proceed to put it in the refrigerator to help preserve it for as long as possible, as I use it probably once a week, maybe twice sometimes. So there you have it. That is my start to finish and how I make my DIY hair oil. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments section below. Don't forget to subscribe and like this video. Thanks for watching, and remember to be kind to others. Bye.